Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today I'm going to be going over the post processor for the Greater Wall. This is really the core analytic for the entire framework, and it's based pretty much off of outlier analysis. I say pretty much because the majority of the modules are just straight up outlier analysis, and the one that's different is the Active Directory module, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But what I mean by outlier analysis is the Greater Wall will determine which values in your data are only present on less than half of the endpoints that you query. So if you query 10 endpoints and you have, let's say, a process name that's only present on 4 out of the 10 endpoints, that process name is an outlier. It's abnormal and considered rare. So that will be flagged as an outlier, and all of the information about that process name will be captured. So without further ado, I'll just get right to the demo and show you how it works. Okay, so here I have the Greater Wall. I've already downloaded and installed it. If you need to see a video on how to do that, go back a little bit, and there was a video posted last week that runs through the install process. So let's go into the Greater Wall, go to Host Collection. As you can see, I already have my environment set up. I have my credentials, and I have 5 endpoints. Let's see, show targets. These are my 5 endpoints that I'm querying. And let's go ahead and we will get service and process info for all 5 of those endpoints. So service info is option number 14. Okay, and process info is number 12. These shouldn't take too long to finish. I think it'll be pretty quick. Go ahead and check the status. They're still running. They should start completing here in the next couple seconds. Here we go. Remember, you always have your TGW status watch command, where you can sit here, stare at your screen, and watch it finish. Got 2 left. Come on. All right, that's all of them. Let's go ahead and stop that. We do a TGW sync. Remember, sync writes the results to disk. And now we are in our results folder. And we can see that we have results. I always like to verify manually that my results are there, at least for 1 folder, maybe 2 folders, because sometimes when you run the modules with the Greater Wall on certain endpoints, you'll go to your results folder and there'll be nothing in there. And usually what that is user error, first of all. And if it's not user error, it's some kind of configuration issue on the network that you're using the Greater Wall on. Not all that common, but I still like to check just to be 100% sure that I do have results before I post-process them. Okay, now that my results are in, you have to run the post-processor. So there's 2 ways that you can do that. Option number 1, you can type TGW post-process, or you can just go to the main menu of the Greater Wall framework and choose option 3. Okay, it's really, really straightforward. Okay, so we've chosen option number 3. Hit enter. You have a pop-up here, and all this is really asking you is what results folder do you want to read from. We only have 1 results folder, so we're just going to go ahead and choose that. And this next one is asking me which folder do you want to be your output folder / working directory. Also, we are starting with a blank slate here, so we don't have any. So the status of this folder that will be created is empty and new. If we had folders in here from, if you had run the post processor before once or twice or however many times, if you had post-processing folders still left over, it would recognize those, and in the status it would tell you whether it was empty, if it had stuff in it, etc. So we're going to just go ahead and choose this empty new folder. It'll go ahead and make it for us. And we sit back and watch. This is an incredibly fast process. As you can see, that took about 3-4 seconds maybe. Incredibly fast. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it did for us. As you can see, we're in the results folder. And now we have this folder right here, post-processing. So we'll go to that folder. And you can see that in here you have post-processed versions of all of the original folders. There's really nothing special about these folders. It's kind of just like an extra copy of the originals. There's a few reasons why I chose to do that, but just understand that there's nothing really more useful in these folders compared to the ones in the previous directory. Where your money is at is right here: analysis, results, and raw data. First, I'm going to talk about raw data. So if I cd to my raw data directory, what I have here is 2 files. So I only did process info and I only did service info. Had I done any of the other modules, they would be in here as well. And what this is, it is all of the results from all of the endpoints smushed into one CSV file. Really simple. It's not rocket science there. And this CSV file is useful for a couple of things. For one, the post processor uses this CSV file to do its analysis, and you can give these CSV files to another analyst to look at in Microsoft Excel. Pivot tables are a powerful tool in Excel, and you can accomplish a lot without knowing PowerShell, without touching the command line. You can just give those files to a coworker so they can poke around in Excel and find bad stuff. Okay, I'll just give you a sneak peek of what's in there for your viewing pleasure. All process info, convert from CSV, and there you have it. So those are our results. So this is all the results from the .82 and all of the other IP addresses that we queried. Okay, enough of that. We will go to the good stuff, the analysis results. All right, so in the analysis results folder, you have an outlier analysis folder. This is a folder within a folder simply because as the Greater Wall gets better, new features get developed. I anticipate that in analysis results, we may have more than outlier analysis. There might be another folder here, hopefully more than one, depending on what cool new analytics may or may not get developed for this thing. So let's go ahead and cd to our outlier analysis. Okay, so you can see we have these 2 files right here, process info and service info analysis. You can tell from the size of the file that they are very small in comparison to the all process info or all service info files. So what I expect to be in here are just the entries from that all process info file and all service info file. Just the entries that were flagged as being outliers for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Let's look at service info first. I like to convert from CSV because it's easier on the eyes, and PowerShell objects are pretty powerful. So, all right, we have one outlier. That's fantastic. You'll probably in a production network have more than one outlier, and you will have some false positives in there. We only have one because we have 5 endpoints, and it's a small home lab here for this demo. But let's take a look at what we have. So first we can see the reason why this was flagged as an outlier, and that's because of the path name. Okay, well, what's the path name? Ooh, see Windows temp lsas.exe. Okay, so right off the bat, this screams suspicious. That is not normal. lsas should not be running from C Windows temp. Okay, well, let's take a look at a couple of other things. So this is weird. This definitely warrants further investigation. So you maybe look through the rest of your results, and if need be, respond to this system and see what is going on with this key ISO service and why it's different. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our process info. Okay, we got a little bit more here. All right, so this looks like the same endpoint that the service was flagged on, but this process was flagged for its path. What is its path? C Windows temp bad.ps1. Okay, we can see that yeah, the process name was bad.ps1. We can also see if it had any network connections, and the in the results here, the E in the parentheses here is for established, and the L is for listening. But it looks like it has an established HTTPS connection to this IP address. That is very sketchy. Let's see what our next result down here. Okay, same endpoint, and the process name was flagged. Okay, so it looks like the same thing got flagged twice. It got flagged once because the path was weird, and then it also flagged because of the process name, bad.ps1. Okay, I would be willing to bet that this also has something to do with the service that we saw from our previous result set. But again, that requires a little bit of further investigation. But now you've seriously reduced the amount of data that you have to sift through to find bad things. And you have a wealth of information here, more than enough to go ahead and respond to this system. Now, if you're wondering, you know, why did it only flag on the path, and why did it only flag on process name? Because I see this right here, this PowerShell exe Windows style hidden. That's really weird. Why didn't it flag on that? Well, I'll show you why. In our Greater Wall folder, in the modules folder, there's a file called modules.conf. This is a very important file, and this file tells the Greater Wall how to post-process and analyze the data for outliers. Okay, so let's go ahead and scroll down to process info. So you can see in here the entry for process info is right here, and it has the CSV header defined. Okay, so this is the CSV header for all the process info results. The IP field is called IP, right? So IP. Okay, and then these right here, these are critical. Where it says pivot, this is me telling the post processor what to care about. So out of all of these fields in the results, which ones do I actually want to look at to determine if there's outliers. So in this setup, I'm looking at the path in the process name. So it's going to ignore the rest. Okay. There's good reasons for this, and quite a bit of thought went into it for each individual module. Let's say the process ID. Why would you want to look for outlying process IDs? You know, that might not be the most effective thing to do because process IDs, for the most part, are going to be always different. Start time. While that's good to know, pivoting on that for outliers is not going to be incredibly effective either. You can absolutely add to this or take away if you want to. It would be as simple as copying a line, pasting it. Say you really wanted to pivot on command line. Put it in there, save the file, and then next time you run the post processor, it will pivot on command line. Okay. Alrighty. And that's about all there is to the post processor. As you can see, it is incredibly easy to use. There's a couple more things I'm going to show you, though. What I just showed you was the normal use case for the majority of the data. What I have over here is the Active Directory part of the post processor. It's a little bit more involved on the back end. It's no more difficult for the user. And what we have here, let me just show you. I already ran it ahead of time, just for time's sake, because the Active Directory module itself takes a few minutes to run, as you can imagine, and then analyzing it is more in depth than just simple outlier analysis like what we just did, and it takes about 20 minutes to finish analyzing, which is a long time, I understand, but it really is what it is. There's no way around it, and sometimes these take time. I tried to do everything with speed at the forefront of my mind, but with the Active Directory one, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that we can do without sacrificing functionality for speed. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have for Active Directory outliers. Again, it wasn't any more complicated. It was just a TGW post process. That's it. And let's go ahead and see what we have. All right, Active Directory enumeration analysis. Okay, you can see this file is large. What this tells me right away is that there are going to be some false positives in here. This is a abnormally large file for the outliers. This means there's not just one or two. If I had to guess, there's probably 100, maybe 100 things in here. But we'll go ahead and we'll take a look. Get content of Active Directory outliers. Yeah, that's pretty big. Okay, not a big deal. Do not be scared. Again, you can take this and open it in Microsoft Excel and hit it with some pivot tables if you want, or you can use some PowerShell command line to get after it. So let's just go ahead and glance at what we have here. So we're confirming our original suspicion that there is a lot of stuff in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and see what I have here available to me. So right here, the last couple properties in the results are property flagged, value flagged, and flag description. All right, so this tells me out of all the Active Directory properties for this user, what was flagged, okay, what exactly was flagged, and a description of the flag. So I don't know a whole lot about this one. This is just saying that the number 108 was flagged for property count. So this user had 108 properties when the majority of users didn't have 108 properties. This, I would say, is probably an example of a false positive or a benign anomaly. But let's go ahead and keep digging through the data. And I'm going to say convert from CSV, select property flagged. All right, and this will just show me, let's sort it to unique. Let's not sort it to unique. Okay, here we go. We can just sort that without the unique. Yeah, here we go. That's a little bit easier to look at. Okay, so this is a summary of all of the things that were flagged. Okay, so there's a lot of group length. That's probably not the most important, but we have some here. Mail. We have I saw a telephone number in there. Yeah, there's a telephone number that was flagged. Description. Okay, so that gives me an idea if I want to say convert from CSV where the property flagged equals telephone number. See what that gives us. Okay, so these are all of the flagged properties where it was flagged for the telephone number. Okay, so this one right here, the flag description is the character X was present in the value. So it knows that X is not normal for the telephone number, right? Because all of the other telephone numbers have, I'm assuming, numbers and dashes, and that's about it. And then this guy right here had an X. Okay, so it flagged that. Let's see who's the offender here. All right, there's our bad phone number guy, Xavier. Okay, so I'm doing a whole lot of mouse wheeling here. We'll get back to the command line in a second. Here's another one, null. Okay, so this one is saying that the value for the phone number was null when most of the others were not null. So this account had no phone number, and most of the other accounts, more than half of them, did. And that's why it was flagged as an outlier. Okay. All right, let's get back to the command line. I could sit here and mouse wheel for the next 20 minutes, but I'd rather not. One thing that we can do is say, just show me select value flagged. Just a really down and dirty view of what was flagged. Show me all of it. All right, and I can kind of scroll through here. Right, and I can see I'm seeing a lot of false positives, but that's to be expected with the sheer amount of data that we're dealing with here. Oh, okay, so here's some good stuff. Looks like we have a plain text or a clear text password. I don't know what this is, but that does not look good. Some type of encoding, maybe. Not too sure. Okay, let's see what's up with that. Let's dig. Let's select property flagged and value flagged. See what that thing is. Scroll up. Where was it? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, so somebody has a street address of that, and then somebody has an office of clear text password. Okay, let's see what's up. Let's pick this one. Office. Okay, I'll just go ahead and I'll copy that. copy. Okay. I'll say divert from CSV where property flagged equals office. See if I can find it this way. Okay. Boom. Look at that. Was it? I think I only have one. Yeah. Okay. Oh wait, no. Is it one or is it two? No, it's one. Okay, one Active Directory user account belonging to Keegan Norton. And we can see here that his office is a clear text password. That's really strange. So what the real use case here is for whatever reason, maybe for persistence or fileless malware, it became an issue where you were worried about information being stored in Active Directory properties. What if in this guy's office it was a script block or some code to download a file from GitHub or somewhere else on the internet? Because apparently the way that things are set up, you don't need to put a street address or an office number in that field. You can put, password. It's obviously a free text field. So that's not good. The way that the Active Directory post processor works is that it will determine which values are true or false values, 1 or 0, enabled or disabled, the really easy ones to go ahead and pivot on, right? And it'll do that in the traditional way like we did for the process info and for service info. And that's really quick. The part that takes a while is the other stuff. Put it all in here. Okay. Oh, there's a link for my YouTube channel for the Greater Wall. So I didn't forget, I just kind of stuffed it into this notepad. So yes, it does lone occurrences of true or false values or outlying occurrences, the easy stuff. It will find occurrences where the majority of the values are null, but some aren't, and vice versa. Okay, so if most people don't have a phone number and you do, it'll be flagged. If most people do have a phone number but you don't, it will be flagged. Abnormally long values. This one's really cool, and how that one works is it will take for every single Active Directory property and calculate the length of the value. So let's just say this guy right here, Sam account type, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 9 characters long. For that Sam account type, for every user account, it'll figure out what the average is. Maybe some are 9, maybe some are 8, 7, 10, and it'll build an average baseline for what it expects the length of that string to be. And if there is an instance, I have buffer of 10, if there's an instance where the value, either if it goes over the average by 10 or more characters, it'll get flagged. So if everybody has a 10-digit phone number and you have a 20-digit phone number, that will be flagged for the purposes of being abnormally long. This one right here is probably my favorite, and what this does is for every Active Directory property, it will calculate the ASCII byte equivalent of the characters. And it will determine, based off of averaging, what is the acceptable range of characters for that type of value. Okay, that's how it found that phone number, where there was an X in the phone number, because it looked at the range of valid ASCII characters. I forget them off the top of my head, but for numbers and dashes, and it calculated an average and said, hey, here's the normal high number for the ASCII bytes, and here's the normal low after considering all of the results. Are there instances where somebody has a value that is 20 above the normal high or 20 below the normal low? You're going to find things like, strange characters like parentheses, dashes, squiggly brackets, where there shouldn't be. If it's expecting numbers, I like I said, I forget what the range is off the top of my head, but you throw a period in there or a slash, that is going to be wildly different. The ASCII values will be wildly different from those for the standard 0 through 9. And that will flag, and you're going to find some potentially really nasty stuff that way. So these last two that I mentioned, are the ones that take the longest. The rest of it is really quick. If it were just these two, you'd probably finish post-processing in 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe a little bit longer because of the amount of data, but it wouldn't take that long. But yeah, these guys take a little bit, but it's pretty cool stuff. Now that is really it for the post-processor. If you want to make a module and add it to the Greater Wall and have it post-process, you need to add an entry in modules.conf for it. There are a couple modules in the Greater Wall that don't post-process. We'll take a look at them. Those two are process tree and network connections. Those are just really down and dirty scripts. There's nothing special about them at all. I mean, it provides good information, but they're just too simple, and it wasn't worth my time to incorporate them into the post processor. And we can verify that from inside the Greater Wall if we do a module status. It'll tell me for all of the modules in the Greater Wall which ones do and which ones don't have a config present in modules.conf. And as you can see, those don't. All right, so that is about it. That is about it for the post processor. For each of these modules, I'm going to do individual videos, individual deep dives into how the modules work, kind of under the hood, and talk about some of the cool things it does and what type of information you can expect from it. But as you can see right here, I think that we've covered enough of the post processor for you to effectively use it. Now that you know what it does, you saw how quickly it works, and yeah, that's about it. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.